Mother, it's been 4 days since I've had even a single grain of food. Will I get something to eat today?
You will eat today, you will eat tomorrow, and you will eat every day, my son.
She was just a simple woman who ran a small roadside food stall, but her heart was enormous. Feeding those 4 orphan children every day had become her daily habit. Time passed. 20 long years went by. One day, 4 shining luxury cars stopped right in front of that same little stall. People were stunned. 4 wealthy men stepped out of the cars and walked straight to the old woman. They bent down and touched her feet. "Mother, if we are alive today, it is only because of you." In that moment, not just one life, but many destinies were changed. But this story does not end here. The real story begins now. Between the narrow lanes of Govindpur stood a small house. This was the home of Meera and Kartik. For Meera, it was not just 4 walls. It was the temple of her dreams. Kartik worked as a simple clerk in a private office. They had been married for 4 years. In those 4 years, there was endless love, but their courtyard remained empty. Every evening, Meera would sit by the window, watch the neighborhood children playing, and unknowingly place her hand on her empty womb. Will my destiny ever smile too? One morning, while sweeping the courtyard, Meera heard a taunt. "It's been 4 years. If Kartik had married a woman who could give him a child, my lap would be filled with a grandchild today." Meera's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. She quietly walked into the kitchen. Kartik understood everything. One night he held Meera's hand and said, "Meera, I want to take you away from here. Let's go to Shimla for a few days." Meera tried to refuse, but the love hidden in his eyes would not let her. Those 15 days in Shimla passed like a dream. The cold winds, the snowy peaks, and a peace that touched the soul. There, on the steps of an old Shiva temple, they met a holy mountain sage. The sage gave them some herbs, placed his hand on Meera's head, and said, "Have patience, daughter. Nature does not leave anyone's womb empty. Your courtyard will no longer remain empty. This is a sign from Mahadev." A new ray of hope awakened inside Meera. After returning from Shimla, things began to change. Meera started feeling tired. One afternoon, while cleaning, she suddenly became dizzy and collapsed. "Meera, are you okay? Let's go to the doctor." Just then, Kartik's phone rang. It was an urgent call from the office. A major project had run into trouble. "Meera, I have to leave right now. You go to the nearby clinic by taxi. I'll meet you there." Meera reached the clinic alone. After the examination, the doctor smiled and said, "Congratulations, Mrs. Meera. You are going to become a mother." At that moment, Meera felt as if time had stopped. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but these were tears of joy, not pain. She called Kartik. Driving at high speed on the highway, Kartik answered. "Kartik, we're going to be parents. The sage's blessing has come true. Really, Meera, I am the luckiest man in the world. I'm coming right now. We will celebrate this new life together." Kartik spoke excitedly. But before he could finish his sentence, a heart-ripping scream echoed through the phone, followed by the terrifying sound of metal crashing into metal. "Kartik! Kartik!" Meera screamed in panic. But the only reply was silence. Just then a call came from an unknown number. "Are you Mr. Kartik's wife? There has been a serious accident on the highway. Your husband's car collided with a truck. Kartik is no more." She collapsed to the ground and lost consciousness. When she regained her senses, she was lying on a hospital bed. Her eyes were open, but it felt as if her breathing had stopped. In her ears still echoed Kartik's last voice, full of joy. The door opened. The doctor walked in. In a very soft voice he said, "Meera ji, please be strong. Due to extreme mental trauma and heavy blood loss, we could not save the pregnancy. You have suffered a miscarriage. In a single day, destiny had taken everything from her, her life partner, and her tiny unborn dream. She had not even recovered from the shock when the door burst open. Fulmala Devi walked in. There was grief in her eyes for losing her son, but even more anger for Meera. Look what your misfortune has done. It has swallowed my young son. I had warned you. This girl is a curse on our home. Mother G, please don't say that. I have lost everything. I'd lost my child too. Kartik's last living memory is gone. What child? He was the torchbearer of my lineage, whom you extinguished even before he was born. Now you're eyeing Kartik's property, aren't you? Remember this. I will not let a cursed woman like you touch even a single rupee of my son's earnings. These doors are closed for you forever. 4 days later, Meera was discharged from the hospital, but no one was waiting for her outside. No home, no family, no support. Her parents had left this world years ago. She reached into her torn pocket. A few crumpled notes came out. These were the same notes Kartik had once said, "Keep this for emergencies." Meera pressed the notes against her chest and sat on the roadside, crying uncontrollably. Where should I go now, Kartik? Finally, Meera took shelter in a small slum near the city railway station. The first few nights she slept on a torn blanket laid on the ground, clutching Kartik's old shirt to her chest, sobbing quietly. Every night the same question echoed in her mind. What now? But within a few days she understood. Tears do not fill an empty stomach, and pain does not run a life. She kept remembering Kartik's words again and again. While eating, he would laugh and say, "Meera, Annapurna herself descends into your hands. Even big hotels can't match your taste." Those words became Meera's strength. She made a decision. If life had taken everything from her, she would now build something of her own. She sold her remaining jewelry and bought an old wooden food cart. She cleaned it, painted it, and hung a small board on it. Meera's kitchen. While the city slept, Meera's stove would light up. Standing for hours under the burning afternoon sun, she served cheap, heart-made food to laborers and passers-by. Sometimes municipal officers came to remove her cart. Sometimes local goons tried to bully her into giving free food. Meera would simply say, "I will fight my own case. I don't need anyone's charity." One evening, when the sun had set and sadness was spreading across the sky, Meera was packing up her cart. Then her eyes fell across the road beneath an old banyan tree. There, 4 small children were sitting close together. Their eyes were fixed on Meera's empty cooking pot. Meera waved her hand, calling them closer. With trembling steps, they walked toward her. She bent down and asked gently, "Son, what are you doing here alone? Where are your parents?" The eldest child replied, "Mother is dead. Father went somewhere. We have been searching for food for 4 days." Meera's heart shattered. Without wasting a single moment, she lit her stove again. She served hot rotis and lentils. The children attacked the food hungrily. Seeing them eat, tears of motherhood flowed from Meera's eyes. When their stomachs were full, the youngest child held the edge of her sari and innocently asked, "Will we get food tomorrow too?" Meera knelt down, pulled all 4 into her arms and said, "Yes, my children, come every day. As long as this mother's hands can work, you will never sleep hungry." At that moment, Meera felt as if Kartik's unfinished dream and her lost child had returned to her in these 4 innocent faces. She named them Suraj, Vikas, Vishal, and Arav. Now dawn had returned to Meera's life. She was no longer just a helpless widow. She was now the mother of 4 orphaned children. That corner of the street was no longer just a food stall. It had become a home of love and hope. Time continued its journey. Before she realized it, 15 years had passed. Mira's hands, once soft, had become rough from stove flames and spices. Her kitchen had become the pride of the entire neighborhood, the last hope for thousands of hungry souls. And those 4 children were no longer children. They had grown into educated, capable young men. Mira sacrificed her hunger, her sleep, her needs, everything, to get them into the city's best colleges. One evening, a light rain was falling. Suraj came running, touched Mira's feet, his eyes shining. "Mother, I got selected. I received a scholarship at the city's biggest engineering college." Tears of joy flowed from Mira's eyes. She kissed Suraj's forehead and said, "I always believed, my son. Your hard work and my prayers never go in vain. If your father Kartik were alive today, his chest would swell with pride." Joy returned to the home. Vikas was making a name in law studies. Vishal began creating his own identity in business. Arav chose social service because he had seen hunger from the closest distance. That old wealthy builder whose cruelty once took Kartik's life and forced Mira onto the streets had now become the city's most powerful and heartless man. Fear gripped him. If these 4 boys continue to rise, one day they will demand my accountability. Fear gave birth to hatred, and hatred to a new conspiracy. One afternoon, while Mira was baking rotis on the stove, some goons and corrupt policemen in uniform arrived. Without any warning, they overturned her food cart. "Hey, old woman! This land has been bought for a mall. Pack up and get lost." Mira folded her hands and pleaded, "Sir, this is my livelihood. The future of these children is tied to this stove." That night, Mira burned with high fever. Lying alone inside her dark hut, she kept remembering her sons. And in another corner of the city, inside the shadows, the builder was executing the most dangerous part of his conspiracy. He met the 4 brothers. Fake documents, old photographs, and poison-filled words. "The woman you call mother is the criminal behind your parents' death. She and her husband Kartik killed your real parents. She raised you only to wash away her sins and claim your future earnings." Suraj, Vikas, Vishal, and Arav, who had stayed away from the world's cruelty, accepted that lie as truth. Years of love turned into hatred in a single moment. That very night, burning with rage, they stormed into Mira's hut. The moment Mira saw them, even in her sickness, a smile appeared on her face. "My children, you've come? Look, Mother has prepared kheer for you." But in reply, Suraj kicked the bowl of kheer away. "Enough. We know everything now. You are a fraud." Mira stood frozen. Vikas shouted, "From today our relationship with you is over. Never show us your cursed face again." The poor souls picked up their belongings and disappeared into the dark night. While leaving, Vishal turned back and said, "One day I will become so powerful that I will make you pay for who you really are." The next 10 years became a living punishment for Mira. She was alone again, and more broken than ever. Her body had aged. Her pockets remained empty. The people of the slum started calling her a mad old woman, because every day she went and sat at the same corner from where her sons had once walked away. She still believed, even if late, one day the truth would return. Kartik's old watch still remained tied around Mira's wrist. Its hands had stopped long ago, just like Mira's hopes. Time kept moving forward. But the evening of her life grew darker and blurrier. She was now past 60. Her eyesight weakened, her steps began to tremble. The stove that once cooked fragrant meals now held only a small clay pot, where she roasted 2 dry rotis for herself. In the city's most luxurious mansion, the powerful builder was counting his final breaths. For the first time, the footsteps of death awakened the conscience sleeping inside him. With trembling hands, he called Suraj, Vikas, and Vishal to his side. "I told you a very big lie." He finally confessed the truth. "Meera did not kill your parents. She sacrificed her own motherhood so that you could study. I deceived her and stole her land and home." While speaking, he placed the cupboard key into their hands. Inside were all the real documents. The moment the truth came out, it felt as if the ground slipped beneath their feet. Vikas broke down in uncontrollable tears. Vishal punched the wall. "What have we done? We killed our own mother while she was still alive." The next morning, an unbelievable scene appeared in the slum. 4 shining black Rolls-Royce cars slowly passed through the muddy lanes and stopped in front of Meera's broken hut. People froze in place. At that moment, Meera was sitting outside her hut on a stone, holding her old shawl in her hands. The moment Suraj saw his mother in that condition, he ran forward. He fell on his knees in the mud and cried, "Mother, punish me. I doubted you. I am not worthy to live." Vikas and Vishal sat beside him. All 3 of them cried uncontrollably. Meera said softly, "I forgave you long ago, my children. But my heart broke the day you doubted my motherhood. I did not want your cars. I only wanted your trust." Vishal placed his head in her lap. "Mother, we have come to take you with us. I will take every last penny from the builder's family who separated us." Meera lifted all of them, kissed their foreheads, and said gently, "A mother can never hate her children, no matter how big their mistake may be." They supported her and took her toward those luxurious cars. After reaching the city, they named their biggest mansion Meera Nivas. But Meera had not come there to live in comfort. She said to her sons, "If you truly want redemption, build an ashram in my name, where no orphan is separated from a mother and no child sleeps hungry." Today, Meera manages the kitchen of the Meera Memorial Ashram. Now she does not have 4 children, she has thousands, and every evening her 4 sons come to eat simple rotis made by her own hands. At the main gate of the ashram hangs Kartik's old photograph, smiling as if saying, "Love and truth never lose." Friends, how did you like this story? Please share your thoughts in the comments. We'll meet again in the next story.